Hi everybody, my name's Joe K. It's Joe K Music and welcome to another day in the underground. Today is a very special vlog. We are going to be kicking off what is to be a series of vlogs discussing the structure of strange music. And I think it's very interesting because I know that over the years there have been several theories. There's been a lot of speculation about how N9NE and Travis, who is the owner of Strange Music, have structured this deal long ago and how it has continued to evolve into what it is today, which is quite honestly a massive empire of companies. I want to make sure that we level set and we discuss what exactly is a holding company. And the reason why I want to talk about that is because in order to understand the full structure of how these companies are tied together, we at least need to come to the table with some basic understanding of business and how businesses are run. We need to make sure that we at least have a baseline and an understanding of what a holding company is so that we can understand the structure of Strange Music and the other subsidiaries that are really all underneath a couple of different holding companies potentially. So let's go ahead and let's just look at the basic definition of a holding company. I'm not going to sit here and give you my definition. I want to go straight to a source. This is Investopedia. It's a reputable site online. Feel free to go check it out. It has a lot of information about businesses and how they're, how they operate and terminology and things like that. So really, let's look at what is a holding company. So a holding company is a business entity, usually a corporation or limited liability company, which is an LLC. Typically, a holding company doesn't manufacture anything, sell any products or services, or conduct any other business operations. Rather, holding companies hold the controlling stock in other companies. Now, that right there is very important to know, okay? Because in order to put a company underneath this umbrella, right, underneath one person, underneath this umbrella, there has to be controlling stock within the other subsidiaries. That's very important. So as we move forward throughout this, I want you all to keep that in the back of your minds. Let's read it one more time. Holding companies hold the controlling stock in other companies. Okay? So with that being said, in order to understand what is going on over at Strange Music, you have to understand that there are holding companies that, or an umbrella company, basically, or several potential umbrella companies that have all these other LLCs underneath it. So way up here, you have, let's just say, a holding company A, and then if you look at it like this, right, you have the guy on the top, right? This is holding company A, and you have Strange Music, you have the merchandise, you have the properties, you have all these other aspects, right? All of these different things make up that one holding company. So when you look at Strange Music, a lot of people over the years have speculated. They've tried to oust Travis on like, hey, here's what, is really going on behind the scenes. Everybody has shared some of this information before, but they haven't brought the paperwork to match what they're talking about. And so I figured with everything going on, there's been a lot of confusion over the years. I want to break this down for people so that they can clearly see and identify what exactly is happening here over at Strange Music. And so I'm going to pull up what is one of the most ironic names for a holding company, considering all the crap that Travis gets. This name is absolutely hilarious to me. I don't know why. I don't know if people are going to think I'm trolling with this crap, but I swear to God, this is all public record. You can go to the state of Missouri right now, and you can go look on their website and pull up every single document that I'm about to pull up, okay? So I just want to make that clear. All of these documents are public record. Anybody can access them for free. So let's go ahead and take a look at what is one of the holding companies that Strange Music is likely under here. Let's take a look. As you see here, Hang on a second. Let me get my crap together. As you can see here, Tyrant Holdings LLC, which was these articles of organization were filed back in 2016, so about 5 years ago. And as you look at the document here, it really tells you what it's doing here. So primarily to purchase, own, and hold the stock and equities interest in other businesses. It defines what a holding company does and really what the purpose of this is. So I'm not going to bore you with all those details. If you want to pause, the screen and read all this, you can, by all means, go right ahead. But I'm not going to sit here and read line for line what's in here. The key part of this is to understand who the owner of this holding company is. And just to clarify, this is the registered agent. This is on several of the other documents. This is likely a lawyer's office who, works for Travis. This right here, this is our smoking gun. So we have Travis O'Gwyn. He is the owner of this. He's the organizer, right? And the address here, 1250 Northeast Sloan Street, Lee Summit, Missouri. That address, and the only reason I'm sharing that address is because that is a business address, and that's the Strange Music headquarters address. So clearly, this is proof that Travis owns not only this holding company, but controlling stock in all of the other subsidiaries within this holding company or this umbrella company. Okay? Does that make Travis a bad person? No, it doesn't. I want to be clear before we even venture down this road, because I know that there's going to be people on both sides of the aisle that are going to be breaking this down. They're going to be having their opinions, and that's fine. You're going to have your opinion of me for sharing this information and for even talking about this, and that's fine. I can deal with that. But there's something that needs to be said about all this, and I'm going to get to the point later on here, but Travis isn't doing anything wrong by opening a holding company. The reason you open a holding company when you have several other businesses underneath it, such as Strange Music, Strangeland Studios, all the merchandise, we're going to break that down further. Make sure to stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and tune in next week when I drop the other episode of this, which is going to be further breaking down all of the different businesses that are within this structure here. And so it's important to know that he's not doing anything illegal here. I want to make sure that's clear. It is perfectly legal to open up a holding company. It's perfectly legal to own several other companies and put them underneath a holding company. Perfectly legal, right? Where it gets very interesting, though, is when you have potentially two owners of one of the companies, and one that's really the face of this entire holding company, if we're being real about it, right? So we have Strange Music, and we have Travis O'Gwyn and N9NE, who are owners of Strange Music. There have been rumors in the past that somewhere along the line, after they started this partnership, that Travis owns at least 51% of Strange Music. Okay? And if you've watched any of the other vlogs, you know what those artists who are signed to Strange Music typically incur as far as expenses while they're on the label and signed, right? Whether it's to Strange Music or one of their other subsidiaries. But let's just take a Strange Music artist, for example, so we can paint the picture here. You have a Strange Music artist, they get signed, they immediately start racking up bills, right? They want to go to the studio, they need to record. That costs money. Somebody needs to pay for that studio time. Somebody also needs to own that studio. And that's where this gets interesting. So in our example, you have Strange Music, which N9NE is partial owner of, right? So he is going to get a portion of whatever assets are available to that LLC, Strange Music LLC. You also have an artist here who's purchasing from another LLC, because if they go to the studio, they need to pay the studio. And if Tech9 does not own the studio, Tech9 is not privied to any of the profits from that studio. Of course, unless there's something else worked out on the side here. All the paperwork, which I'm going to present in future vlogs, do not support ownership of anybody else to any of these other subsidiaries other than Travis O'Guin himself. So what that means is Tech9 is paying one of Travis's companies for a service, and he's footing the bill for it. So now you have a strange music artist who just racked up, let's say they go to the studio and they spend $10,000. Out of Tech9's portion, right? We talked about this, let's just say 49%, right? 49% of $10,000, right? So a little under $5,000 is really what Tech9's kind of on the hook for, right? So he pays this over to Strangeland Studios, and Travis gets all of that profit. He has to pay the engineer fraction of that. He has to pay for expenses. He has to pay for the studio, the equipment, all that stuff, right? But at the end of the day, Travis owns all of those assets. Tech9 does not own any of those assets. The only potential asset he has is the artist itself. So now that he's cut that check over to the studio, he is now taking from the profits of Strange Music. So instead of Strange Music and Tech9 and Travis splitting $10,000, that is now essentially $10,000 out of Tech9's pocket. That's just one example of how this is broken down. You have potentially another holding company here, and we're going to take a look at that. It was formulated around the same time period as Tyrant Holdings LLC, which I, again, find very hilarious. We have Menacing Holdings LLC, which was filed on September 28th, 2016. So you have Menacing Holdings, you have Tyrant Holdings, and we're going to go down here. We're going to look, again, same registered agent. And again, we have Travis O'Guin using the Strange Music headquarters as the address of the incorporator. So again, I'm not saying that there's anything illegal here. What I am saying is Tech9 is completely, look, people can make their own decisions. Tech9 is a grown man. He's been in this business for a long time. He can make his own decisions, right? But from an outside perspective, what this looks like, although it's not illegal, it does look like Tech's getting screwed in every aspect of his entire business, because you have a business mogul who's built an entire enterprise. You have 160,000 square feet of building, right? Of assets over there in Lee Summit. And 10,000 square feet of it belongs to Tech9 and Travis together. And if Tech9 only owns 49% of that, we're talking about 5,000 square feet of 160,000 square foot warehouse and office space worth several millions of dollars, likely tens of millions of dollars. And when you look at the assets and you look at what is at stake here, part of the reason that people open up a holding company is so that they're not liable if one of the companies beneath it, underneath this umbrella per se, go bankrupt. So if Strange Music goes completely broke and they have $0 by the end of next year, that's fine. Travis is cool. He's got all these other subsidiaries and he owns all of the other assets. We have the vehicle enterprise, which is all part of a separate LLC that Travis owns. You think when they go on tour, they're out there, renting buses from a third party or whatever? No. Hey, artist number 1, 2, and 3, go get the trailer and back. I'm going to charge you $100 per day to run the trailer, and you can go take that on tour with you. You're going to get billed for that. And we're going to own that asset. So you have a strange music artist who goes on tour who has to pay another company, and none of those profits are going to Strange Music. It's going to the other company. Strange Music doesn't own the trailers that these artists are taking. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Am I clearly painting the picture of what all this means? Because if I'm not doing it clearly, I'm just going to come out and say it. Tech9, by not being an owner in these other subsidiaries, is losing money hand over fist. Which, in my opinion, he should be paid for. Because this entire empire does not exist without both of them together. Tech9 needed Travis's money to get out of all of his crappy deals from the past. And I am sure that there is a level of loyalty there that is almost unmatched to many others. In the beginning, I'm sure he is very grateful for being bought out of the situation that he was in back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Absolutely. But if you compare this to an athlete, you don't pay the first round pick the same exact money 5 years later when they've proven to be a 5-time MVP, when they've put in the work. At some point, you renegotiate that contract. At some point, you renegotiate what level of ownership you should have in them. And to my knowledge, there's no evidence that is available to support anything other than Travis O'Guin owns all of these subsidiaries, and at the end of the day, Tech9 does not own really any of them other than Strange Music. Maybe there's one or two here that we missed, but at the end of the day, they're owned by Travis. And Tech may be making money, absolutely. I disagree with people that think that Tech isn't making any money. I think Tech's doing just fine. He wouldn't be in a business relationship with somebody for over 20 some years if he wasn't making money, if he wasn't doing okay. It may have been a long journey to get to that point, but from the outside looking in, it seems like he's doing just fine. But just because you're making $1 or $2 million, you have to remember where this all started. Way long ago, 20 some years ago, which has now turned into a 160,000 square foot asset with all sorts of additional assets within it. The vehicles, the equipment, everything. When did things go awry? When did things change? I think I have an idea of when that happened. Let's take a look at the documents here. I want to take a look at this document because this is an oldie. This is from 2003. Okay? Notice the business address is different. I did block out the addresses because I believe what they may have been using as a headquarters is now a residential property. And so I don't want to put that out on the internet. As you can see here, you can tell it's old because it's all handwritten. President, Travis O'Guin. Vice President, Aaron Yates. Everybody knows Tech9's real name. Okay? You look at this. Secretary, treasurer, right? This is all fine and dandy. Board of directors, this is a very critical part to pay attention to as we continue to dissect this in future episodes. There's one thing you need to understand. When you're on the board of directors, there's a certain power that comes with that. You need to understand that typically that's going to mean that you have a controlling interest in the company. So in 2003, we have Travis O'Guin and we have Aaron Yates. We have Tech9. Both of these guys own this company together. Strange Music Inc. Okay? Let's go to 2004 for the annual registration report. We have Travis O'Guin, Aaron Yates. But all of a sudden, 1 year later, board of directors is now only Travis O'Guin. So my question is where's Tech9? Where's Tech9? This is when things start to get interesting. And again, I can appreciate the relationship. I am not here to dissect the relationship or speculate on the relationship of Tech9 and Travis. They could be the best of buds, or they could hate each other's guts. I don't know, and I don't care either way. All I'm saying, Tech9, if you are watching this video, I hope somebody is telling you, somebody has told you to say that, hey, you were a pivotal, crucial part of Strange Music and the success that Strange Music has over several decades in the music industry. And your business partner who's creating other companies leeching from your hard work without giving you the proper ownership, he may be cutting you a check, and that's fine. I don't care if he's cutting you a $10 million check a year. At the end of the day, when Strange Music goes bankrupt, if it ever goes bankrupt, hopefully it won't, but if it ever does, you have nothing. You have nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, your business partner will continue to profit off of the several subsidiaries that he has created underneath this holding company, Tyrant Holdings, Menacing Holdings, LLC, whatever it may be. He will continue to be able to sign artists to distribution deals. He will continue to sell merchandise. He will continue to be able to lease out the space from the 160,000 square foot building that he owns. My apologies. The 155,000 square foot building after you take your cut from the 10,000 square feet that Strange Music was made up of, and you're, let's just say 50% or 49% portion of that. All the rest of those assets, if your names aren't on the paperwork as an owner, you are not privy to. Just to give you an example, I could go hire, let's say that I have a company and I sell t-shirts, okay? And I hire some bum off the street, some freaking schmuck, okay? And I hire him and I pay him $1 million a year to work for me. At the end of the day, if my company goes from being worth $1 million a year to over a span of 5 or 10 or 20 years being worth, let's just say, 80 million, I'm paying that person that I hired, that bum off the street, I'm paying him $1 million a year. Meanwhile, my company is now closing the doors. I've decided I'm done. I'm retiring. Well, boss, what about my $1 million a year? I've been paying you $1 million a year. Okay, but I mean, I thought I was a pretty critical part of growing your business. Yeah, you were. You played a huge role. Without you, I'd be nothing. Scratch that. Without you, I'd probably still be a multimillionaire. I'd probably still be pretty successful. But I bet you this company here probably wouldn't have grown to be worth $80 million. But boss, when you close the doors, am I going to get some of the money that's left? Like, oh, dude, there's no money in the bank. I paid you your last check. This is it. Well, what about all the assets? What about the building? What about all the equipment? What about all the merchandise? Oh, yeah, I'm going to sell that and I'm going to keep that money. That's mine. I'm the owner. Do you see where that goes? Do you see what the problem is in that? That's what happens when you're not on the paperwork. That's what happens when you're not an owner. That's what happens when you're an employee. And I'm being generous here because nothing indicates to me that Tech9 is getting paid for every single one of these LLCs that are within this holding company that are all basically built off the backbone of Strange Music. So I want you guys to think about that for a minute. I want you to consider what I've shared with you today. And again, Tech, if you're watching this, man, I know I'm probably way out of line, but someone had to say it. Somebody had to bring this to the table. Somebody needed to talk about this. I know people have tried in the past, but I'm literally showing you the documents. I'm explaining how not the music business works, because I don't work in the music business. I've never worked in the music business like that. But this is how business works. And it's very easy to see if you know where to look. I hope I've given you guys something to think about today. I appreciate you guys tuning in. There's going to be additional episodes coming with further breakdown. We are going to get way deep into the weeds on this. And we're going to continue to paint this picture so that people can understand what exactly is at work here and what's at stake. What is at stake? You know the state of the music business right now. You know how tough it was during COVID. You know how tough it's been since things have gone digital. It's a crazy business. And I would hate to see this be a story 10, 15, 20 years from now about how another artist lost out on owning a portion of an empire that was built on their back. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to tune in next week, Thursday, when I drop another episode about this. My name's Joe K. It's just another day in the underground. See you next time.